my name's Chris, and welcome back to the acreage. Another week, another few thousand pounds of wood. So I feel like I got a lot done this week, but most of that is represented in giant piles of debris. I'd forgotten how much work it is to try and process trees. And I took down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12 trees this week. Because the goal now, because a little bit has changed, I want to keep opening up this area behind where the sleep camp is going to go. Because a friend of the channel has offered to come up and help me pull all these trees out once I've got them all bucked up. I ordered a capstan winch and it came in, but it didn't have any of the stuff that was supposed to come with it. It didn't have the rope, it didn't have oil, it didn't have anything else, and I was busy doing other stuff, so I couldn't get to the store to get that stuff in. So I want to try using that to pull up some trees. But one of my high school classmates and friends offered to come out with his quad and help pull trees out of the bush, which is just going to be so much faster. So right now I'm focusing mostly on getting trees down, but also just generally preparing the site. This tree, which is seriously hanging down that way. So in theory, this should be easy. A couple cuts, down she goes. My concern is that when it falls, there's this rock here that's the higher level, and when it hits that, it's gonna possibly roll. So I've got a couple trees that are on this side that should prevent it from moving this way, and I've got a few trees that I can also be behind. So as soon as it starts to fall, I'm going to book it that way. And yeah, I feel the need to get rid of this one because it's already looking a little bit rotten. And poplars, when they start to lean that far, tend to go on their own. And I don't want to be working in this area and have the whole thing land on me and my workings. All right, let's get to it. Two cameras on this tree, and I still managed to fail to get it. Damn it. Well, I don't think I can call myself a YouTuber until I can manage to turn on the camera or aim the drone. I put the controller down for the drone and a branch caught the joystick and I didn't notice. And the other camera, I just didn't turn it on. Once again, it made a very satisfying thump when it hit the ground. As I suspected, it was starting to rot, hollow on the inside. This tree was not long for this world. So now I'm getting to really where I'm trying to get to, which is being able to see far down the hill. You can see at least 100, 150 feet down the hill now. Over time, obviously, that's going to increase. So when my friend came out, I showed him around and we talked a little bit about what I'm going to do. And it's definitely going to be really helpful to have him come out and help me bring up all the logs, because I've decided now that I'm going to do definitely some sort of a log structure as opposed to a timber frame or a stick structure. And that means that I have to have at least 24 logs up here. So having the human at the other end of the winch to help bring everything up is just going to save so much time. But that's probably going to be another couple weeks from now, because I want to maximize the amount of time that we're actually doing real work, because I don't necessarily have that at my disposal all of the time. And so I'm going to definitely take advantage when I can. So my friend has got a lot of experience with diesel equipment, and specifically older machines like my backhoe. And that was one of the main things that he came out to take a look at, was to go over the machine and see what we could see. And we did some crawling around the machine and found not one, but at least 3 leaks. So one of the things I have to do early next week is see what I can do to really sort out the leaks. So there's a plug right back there. Underneath here, it looks like the oil filters are leaking. There's definitely a leak up here somewhere between the hydraulic pump and the back of the engine. And we're kind of unclear whether or not it's actually the hydraulic pump or not that's doing the leaking. But there's a few places where it looks really wet. So we'll start by tightening those up. And then I'm going to put new fluid in the machine. So I'd like to be able to move the machine somewhere where it's a little bit easier to work on, have a little bit more space around it, and I have enough space that I can lift the bucket, brace it up, and maybe get the front wheels on something so that way there's a little bit more space to work under here. Right now there's maybe a foot, and an extra 6 inches would make our lives a whole lot easier. But overall, just going through and tightening everything that we can find. And as he looked it over, there's a few places where there's also disconnected wires, some of which we're not sure where they go. So I bought the service manual for the machine online, and I've been spending a lot of time reading that to see what I can figure out of what might be missing or whatever else. The manuals that I got with the machine are actually for the 310 model, not the 310B model, so there's quite a few things that are different, and I don't want to be ordering parts from the wrong manual, obviously. So yet to be seen whether or not the hydraulic pump is what's actually leaking, but definitely there's more than that. So I got to get those leaks under control. And we don't know what the last guy did. As it is, he forgot to replace the valve cover gasket, so who knows what he didn't do. And since he didn't have the proper manual for it, he also didn't know what the torque specs were on all the different bits and pieces. So it's possible that he simply didn't tighten them enough, and they're all starting to come loose. So theoretically, that could be a fairly easy fix. And then the only other thing, assuming I can fix the machine, that I think I really need to do, probably before next year at this point, is pull out the backhoe controls. I did a little bit of research on how to fix those. So basically you fill all the holes that are all wallered out from the mechanism being sloppy, weld them solid, and then drill a new proper size hole and then put it back together. So that's actually fairly easy to do. And something that I'm definitely going to have to do, because the more control that I have over the machine, the easier it is to operate, and the more comfortable I am with it. And then hopefully over time, I feel a little bit less uncomfortable using the machine. But even so, I'm still contemplating selling it, just because it's a little bit above my pay grade. But selling it only works if it's not peeing oil everywhere. And well, either way, I have to do the work to fix it. Overall, this was really a tree week, and spent quite a few hours just cutting, bucking, moving around leaves and branches, and making it so that way I've got more of the materials that I need. Overall, this week was a lot cooler, and it made it a lot easier to work. Where before I could do 3-ish hours in a spell without having to take a long break to cool off, I was going 6-7 hours this week. So that's definitely a plus, and I'm definitely getting used to the physical labor more. That where early on I was really feeling it in my muscles because they were screaming at me to please stop. Now it's just go and then go some more. So that's an unexpected benefit. Unfortunately, haven't got a permit yet. The planner had sent me an email with a couple of fairly straightforward questions, and I answered them within an hour. And I didn't hear from him for a few more days, where he's now scheduling time to review my email. So I don't know. This is the thing that I hate about bureaucracy, especially in small jurisdictions, that there's one guy that does everything, and especially when he does it completely by the book, it can take forever. But I have to move on and just keep pushing forward, because at the end of the day, the week or 2 or 3 that it takes to get the permits isn't really that big a deal. So this week I was taking down quite a few large trees. I also took down a bunch of the dead spruce or red pine or whatever they are, and got them ready. And this week I also spent some time finishing the peeling station. So now I'm quite happy with it. It's not perfect. It's never perfect, but for what I intended it to be, it's rock solid. Perfect. Perfect. And it weighs almost nothing, so that's a bonus. So I cut some trail. I looped around from over here, went back about 100 feet that way, came down the hill, and then came around. And I think I said before that every week I spend a little time cutting some more trail, so that way it's easier walking. I can see what's in front of me. I'm less likely to trip on things. And I'm spending that time really looking at what I've got, so that way I can plan for it a bit better. One of the nice things that's come along now that I've been here for a while, that I am finding, even though I am still like hurrying, I still have a lot to do in a short amount of time. At least, you know, I feel the deadline of winter coming. I actually find more time now to just sit and enjoy what I've got. One of the things that I always loved as a little boy was sitting on the edge of the forest of the property that we had in the country. And just like here, there was a whole bunch of really big poplar. And they make a very distinct noise while the leaves are flipping around in the wind. And I love that sound. And sometimes I just sit here and listen. And it's certainly not getting work done. It's not getting content made. But man, it's fulfilling. So while I am making a large brush pile closer to the truck where I'm going to burn, the pine from trees like this one, this stuff I'm generally putting in a heap right here. That's going to be relatively close to where I put my fire pit, because that stuff is really good burning for just general rough heat, or in the spring when you want to have a little bit more of a smoky fire to keep the bugs at bay. That stuff is great. It also lights really fast, which is also useful, so it's basically kindling. And it's all really dry too, so it'll burn really well. And I think that's one of the things that I'm most looking forward to as we come into fall, that we're sort of on the edge of a fire ban right now, and it wouldn't be wise on my part to have any fires to enjoy, even though it's quite cool at the moment. I'm really looking forward to that. So, and something else I have to really think about in the near future is where am I putting my fire pit? Now that I've got things a little more opened up, where I'm standing right now at the base of this tree, there's a drop about 2 feet that you can see sort of the air gap underneath the log here. And this is sort of a nice little plateau that is out of the way of everything. And I think would be a good place to put in a fire pit. And I could even use the rock wall itself as part of my fire pit, and maybe just build a few bushcrafty style walls to sort of keep the wind and the snow off of this little area. But if any snow does build up, I've got a huge drop off right here where I can just chuck the snow over and get it out of my way. And I think I want to do that sooner than later, because no matter what, I'm going to need a place to stop and eat. I think I've said this half a dozen times already, but you know, I have to do that. But like right here, there is enough soil for this tree, and digging out a patch so that way I don't have the dirt here anymore. That's going to be a lot of work. As you might expect, being that there's so much rock spread all over the property, there's different sized chunks of rock also lying all over the place. And as I've been going around doing all the stuff that I've been doing, I have been starting to collect a lot of that rock. So that way I've got a decent stockpile of human movable rocks that I can use for whatever. Right now, my main goal is for the fire pit, but eventually I'm building a large stone wall up the middle of my house, and I'm gonna need tons and tons and tons of rock. So I'm paying attention to where I'm finding it, so that way I can go back for more. Once I've got more equipment, more capability that I can pull out some of the larger stuff, I wanna know where it is, because there's so much rock here, and that is going to become the foundation for everything, literally and figuratively. While I'm probably not going to use it on the foundations of the sleep camp just because speed, I need to get good at mortaring that stuff together. That's why I want to start with a fire pit, because it's pretty low consequence. If I screw it up, if it falls apart, just build it again. Whereas once I get to the house, I want to make sure that I've got real experience, because that wall is going to be supporting a very, very big roof. So that's it for this week. In some ways, it doesn't feel like I got a whole lot done, but at the same time, I did a lot of work, and I feel it, I can see it. But I guess time will tell whether or not the footage shows it. So like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.